Hey, it's Frank from 40 Honeybee, and I'm doing something new with my BCBC hive here. I'm doing a Demaree split. Demaree, Demarino, whatever you call it, that's what I'm doing. Now, I'm gonna do a little diagram here at home, just to show you what a Demaree split looks like. But basically, to give you a quick verbal briefing here before we get into the meat of the video, I have to have the queen in the bottom box, which she is right now because I have an excluder on there. So I have to go in and find that queen, remove her, place her in a new bottom box. At least that's the way I'm going to do it. Place her in a new bottom box with one frame of brood and one frame of resources, and then as many frames as I can give of drawn out comb. That's the ideal thing. I don't have too many, so that's the little part that worries me a little bit. Then I'm moving all the rest of the frames in that bottom box that have brood up into a very top box, and I'm putting 2 honey supers in between them. The thought being that the queen believes that she's split, that she has absconded and swarmed, that is. The workers that come in, see all the resources are gone, they might think they've swarmed. They start working hard at making the bottom box a brood nest for the queen. Meanwhile, all or most of the worker bees, or the nurse bees, are up in the top box with all the rest of the brood. And they hatch those out, then they all work their ways down. Sorry about the wind here, guys. Starting to lose frames because it's supposed to be this windy today. Anyway, they start working their way down. Once the brood up top hatches out, they work their way down, and they join the queen in the bottom box and make more bees there, help nurse the bees there, and then you've got 4 frames worth of honey to be filled in. Now there's another benefit which I'm hoping for. Once you get the brood up in that top box and away from the queen, the bees that are up there think that the queen has swarmed. They're so far away from the queen they don't receive her pheromone, and they start making queen cells, and that's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping they make queen cells, because ideally what I want to do is make splits with those queens. Timing will work out well. That will be in mid-May, mid-honey flow, and I'll be able to make some splits off some other colonies, and then maybe even leave a second queen up top. I don't know. It's not really a proper way to do it, but I'm different that way anyway. So thanks for joining me. Let's work through this. It might be a great way to get this one hive really blasting to make honey, but it also is a good way to set up your own queens for rearing and splitting out of their hives. Let's see if it works. Okay, so here's what your Demaree split looks like. First off, you've got the original. I'm not a very good artist. Maybe I should be doing this a different way. You've got your original 2-box colony, and this works best when you're in a good honey flow and you've got 2 boxes at or near capacity. So what you do is you go into this hive, and the most important thing you have to do right off the bat is find the queen. You find the queen, you take the frame that she's on, and you put it in another box. You can put it in a new box. Ideally, you put it in a new box with a new bottom board, so that you replicate as much or as close as you can to the queen having swarmed. Okay, so you put the queen in here with 1 frame of brood. Okay, and then you put a second frame in here of resources for those bees that are going to hatch. So a little bit of honey, a little bit of the other stuff. What's it called? Pollen. Yeah, so you got 2 frames down there, and then the rest of the box you fill with preferably drawn out frames. If not, you put in what you got there, right? Then you put a queen excluder on. Very important. A queen excluder. And then you take from the original box, here we'll write original. From the original box, you take all the brood frames out and you put them in a box which is going to go up here. Okay, you don't have to suspend it magically in the air. So all this brood ends up here in what we'll call the top box, okay? Then in between the 2 of them, you put on a couple of honey supers, and they can be deeps. I put a deeps because I wanted as much space as possible between the old brood that's up here and what's going to be the new brood. So as much space between the queen and the old brood. Okay, so what you're going to do, what happens here is that Foraging bees come in. Oh my goodness, where'd all our bees go? Where'd all our resources go? They find the queen. They say, hey, queen, you better start laying, and we're going to set up this box here for you to lay. Queen lays down here. Then the bees also see, holy smokes, we've got a lot of space to work up here. So they start building out, filling up these honey supers. All the while up here, what happens is that your nurse bees continue to work on the brood that's up there to hatch them out. What they may do as well, and this is what I'm hoping for, what they may do is start forming queen cells, because hopefully they're far enough from the queen that they don't get her pheromone, right? So they think the queen has left. They start making emergency queen cells, and you can take those queen cells and do splits with them, all right? If you don't want to do splits, part of the reason for doing this is not a split, this is more of a manipulation, right? The reason you do this is maybe you can't do splits, or you have no more room in your yard, but you don't want to lose this hive to swarms, right? So that way you get a lot of production out of it. You keep all the bees, and it's very unlikely that this queen is going to swarm now because she thinks that she has swarmed. So this box up here starts making queen cells. You can either destroy them or use them. I plan on using them. Then once they hatch out all their brood, these worker bees, these nurse bees, just make their way down and start helping the queen build out here. So that's the plan for the Demaree. Let's hope it works, okay? Okay, so I'm just going to narrate the beef of this video because, as you can well imagine by the title and the thumbnail, it did not go as planned. So I started off fine. I started off inspecting the top box because the queen did have some brood up here a week ago before I excluded her down in the bottom. So I just wanted to start inspecting all the frames, taking the brood frames and putting them in what will end up being the top box, and then taking the bulk of the honey frames and leaving them, because this, I didn't show it in the diagram, but this ends up being one of the 2 honey supers that you end up using. So this part went fine and dandy. Then I got into the bottom box, and here is the fatal flaw. Tell me if you spot it right now. I took the frame out and put it in a different box. And I did that because I was very confident I was going to be able to find the queen. I've been finding her ever since I've had her. She's marked, and I've had her for the better part of a year. So I end up not finding her, as you can imagine, right? I don't find her. And now I have the queen possibly in one of any 4 of these boxes. And I've just decreased the likelihood that I'm going to find her exponentially, because she could be on the side of the box, she could be on the bottom, she could be outside of the hive for all I know. So if you're going to do this Demaree split, and I will try this again, although I don't know what the result is yet, but it makes sense. If I did this again, when I do this again, I will not only make the move once I find the queen. Inspect the top box all you want, get it all sorted out, but when you inspect the bottom box, do it with the sole purpose of finding the queen without spreading the frames all over Timbuktu, because now it's 10 times harder for me to find the queen, right? I'm researching, I'm relooking every single frame over and trying to find it, and I cannot find her. Right? It's a pretty heavily populated couple of boxes, and that's part of the reason why it was hard to find her, but I should have been able to find her, and I could have been able to find her if I just went through that bottom box maybe 3 times or so. So you can still continue with the split and do what I end up doing here is you can see I'm actually taking every single frame and shaking it into the bottom box so that I know I'm putting the queen back down in that bottom box. I believe the problem with doing this, though, is that you don't have that sudden swarm effect. The queen is no longer gone with very few bees around her, and the nurses are no longer just with the brood and no queen. Everybody's together in that bottom box, and I think that may cancel out the whole swarm effect that makes them trigger into building more swarm cells in that top box. So anyways, here's the conclusion live. Once this top box hatches out and all those bees work their way down to the bottom box to help the queen out there, then all these 3 boxes, 1, 2, 3, will just be used as honey swarms. And that's where the Demaree split really shines, is that you force the queen into one box. She thinks she's swarmed because all of her brood is gone, which is what happens when she swarms. She starts laying like crazy down there, which she has lots of room to do. And then up top, the bees just go nuts putting in resources. That's the plan. I don't know if it worked because I didn't spot the queen. Again, this plan is really contingent and very important that you spot the queen, which I didn't, which is a big disappointment. But it happens. That's beekeeping for you. We're going to give this a week and come back. And at the 1 week mark, we should know what's happened, because we'll tell if there's eggs down below or if there's eggs up top or where the queen is or if she's absconded. They may end up making, if I dropped her into the grass, which I'm going to check. Actually, all the bees are gone from the grass, so pretty much, eh? So I don't think she's down there. But because of the excluders, I'll be able to know where the queen is, whether I find her or not. I'll be able to know where she is and then adjust the box accordingly. And hopefully the box where there is larva, where the queen is not at, will make new queen cells, which I'll take for other splits. So it's a risk. I've never done it before. I don't know if you can tell that or not. But we're trying to do this to do the best for the apiary. So thanks for joining me at 40 Honeybee.